My dear colleagues in legal fraternity, civil rights activists, friends and fellow citizens, in the wake of yesterday's judgment of the Supreme Court in Chintada Anand versus State of Andhra Pradesh, that is 24th March 2026, this judgment has once again brought into sharp focus of a long-standing constitutional and moral question. Does conversion erase caste-based discrimination? Caste beyond religion? Why constitutional safeguards must extend to Dalit converts? My friends, the answer grounded in India's social reality. Answer is an unequivocal no. Caste, a birth-based social reality, not a religious label. Caste in India is not merely a feature of Hindu theology. It is deeply entrenched in social hierarchy that operates across religious boundaries. The framers of the Constitution, led by Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, recognized caste as a system of graded inequality that required active state intervention. Despite this, the Presidential Order 1950 restricted scheduled caste status only to Hindus, later extended to Sikhs and Buddhists, but kept the Dalit converts, Christians, outside of it, effectively linking caste to religion, an approach that is both historically inaccurate and constitutionally questionable and discriminative. My friends, Indian judicial recognition of continuous caste stigma. In Indian courts have, in several earlier rulings, acknowledged that conversion does not automatically erase caste identity or social discrimination. The lived experiences of Dalit Christians and Dalit Muslims clearly demonstrate that one, continued social exclusion, persistence of untouchability like practices, then segregation in burial grounds, churches and community spaces, and fourth, the economic and educational marginalization. In fact, courts have repeatedly noted that caste is a social phenomenon that survives religious transformation. So the problem with the yesterday's judgment, my friends, the ruling in Chintada Anand appears to move away from this well-established understanding. By narrowing the interpretation of caste identity post-conversion, the judgment risks ignoring ground realities, reinforce formalistic legal reasoning over substantive justice, and aligning consciously or otherwise with majoritarian political narratives. My friends, the Honorable Court knows well that there are several petitions seeking the scheduled caste status to the Dalit Christians are pending in Supreme Court and yet this matter was taken up on urgent basis and delivered judgment. Such an approach undermines the transformative vision of the Constitution, which seeks not merely formal equality but substantive social justice. My friend, the issue is not new, and the Supreme Court judgment also is not new, because the 1950 Scheduled Caste Order says that. So the petition seeking extension of SC status to Dalit Christians are already pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. In fact, the Honorable Justice Ranganath Mishra Commission unequivocally recommended that SC status should be delinked from religion and must be extended to all Dalits irrespective of faith. However, instead of acting on these recommendations, the Union government, led by Narendra Modi, constituted another commission under Justice K.G. Balakrishnan, and this move has effectively delayed justice, with the matter remaining in limbo. So the constitutional morality and political expediency, the delay raises serious concerns. Is the state using procedural mechanisms to avoid addressing an uncomfortable truth? Is the judiciary being indirectly influenced by prevailing political narratives? Are constitutional guarantees being subordinated to majoritarian considerations? The Constitution does not permit discrimination based on religion in granting protections against caste oppression. Article 14, 15, 16 and 17 of the Constitution collectively mandate equality, non-discrimination and abolition of untouchability. Denying SC status to Dalit converts violates Article 14, equality before law, Article 15, non-discrimination, and Article 17, abolition of untouchability. So the empirical reality, the discrimination persists. Multiple sociological studies and ground reports confirm, my friends, Dalit Christians often face double discrimination from dominant caste within their own religious community in the church itself. Conversion sometimes leads to loss of state of production without social mobility. Educational and employment disadvantages persist across generations. Thus, denying SC status creates a constitutional paradox. Those who remain oppressed are denied protection simply because of their faith. Then what is the way forward? My friends, the judicial review by a larger bench. The recent judgment, yesterday's judgment must be reviewed by considered by a constitution bench, a larger bench, to restore doctrinal clarity in accordance with the basic principles of the constitution. Then delinking SC status from religion. Parliament must amend 1950 presidential order to reflect the social realities, including Dalit converts into scheduled caste list on par with the Dalit converts to Sikhism, Buddhism and Jainism. Then time-bound action and pending cases. Already there are cases pending before the Honorable Supreme Court which were kept in cold storage. So the Supreme Court must prioritize hearings on Dalit converts' rights in the petitions which are already pending before it. Then adherence to the constitutional morality. The judiciary must act as a counter-majoritarian institution as envisioned by the Constitution of India and our constitutional makers. My friends, caste discrimination does not disappear with conversion. It adopts, persists and often intensifies. To deny constitutional safeguards on the basis of religion to the scheduled caste is to punish victims for seeking dignity. India must decide, we must decide, will it uphold constitutional morality or yield to the majoritarian expediency? The answer will define not just the future of Dalit converts, but the soul of the constitution itself. If caste discrimination continues, and it does, then the constitutional protection must also continue. Therefore, my friends, caste does not never convert and justice must not discriminate. This is my appeal to the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and they must dispose of the cases which are already pending before the Honorable Supreme Court at the earliest. So thank you. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.